Hello. So today I wanted to talk about amoxicillin and its partner, clavulanic acid, and you can kind of get an idea what this is going to be about, right? Sorry about any noise. Um, so amoxicillin would be Goku, I would say, and clavulanic acid would be probably Vegeta, if that makes any sense to anybody. But what makes these two special is that together they can take on anything or many things. And they're both beta lactams. So right here, they're both beta lactams, so they get into the same area. See a little bit different, a few differences, right? So this chain, right here, but the beta lactam is what's important. And what makes amoxicillin different from the penicillin we know is the amino group and the effects that this has. So this amino group This amino group makes it more hydrophilic, water soluble, polar, and alcohol does help. But this allows amoxicillin to enter porin channels of gram-negative bacteria, and this really makes it a very broad spectrum. So it can go gram-negative and positive, but here's the catch: it has no real compromise of safety. So it's not more complex, and it's usually when we have other antibiotics, to get some, we give up other. And it can be very complex very fast, or it can get very dangerous with many side effects. But this is the first choice for children with common infections. So, like the flu, lung infections, ear infections, urinary tract infections, and strep throat, right? This takes care of a lot, even some E. coli. But also this amino group makes it more able to get through stomach acid, so it can be taken orally. So you can see what I'm saying here. It takes care of many things. It takes care of a broad spectrum. It's safe, and it can be taken orally. So for children, this is great. And where you get Augmentin, so I didn't write that down, but together they're a different thing. When these two are coming together, they form a different structure. And clavulanic acid has very weak antimicrobial activity, but it has another job. It makes a suicide pact with the enzyme, right? So if Goku's trying to handle his thing, right? If you're watching anime, he's trying to handle his thing. Someone has to cover his back because he can't do two things at once. So with the beta-lactamase inhibitor, especially the clavulanic acid, this is going to be like the number one tested concept in clinic. This shields from other problems, right? Like the enzyme would inhibit this from doing its job. So this kind of has its back, right? The enzyme is not gonna get rid of it. It makes a suicide pact. It binds it, the enzyme, and this keeps this free. This keeps this functioning 100%. And this is really important because if it's even inhibited 20%, 10%, whatever, it's a big difference. But this keeps it working. It keeps it covered. It backs it up. It covers the enzyme all around it. So Augmentin is really important. These two combined are really important. And also, this eliminates the potential for the enzyme to adapt, evolutionary make mutations, right, and adapt to take this one down. So, because this binds penicillin binding proteins, and it does its job well, but the enzyme would be the best path to get rid of this, right? Beta lactamase, right? Beta lactamase, so killing beta lactam, but this does that job for it, and so it keeps it covered immediately and in the long term also. Right, because changing the penicillin binding proteins would cause a lot of stress on the system, and it's always gonna go to the path of least resistance, and this covers that easiest path of least resistance. So together they make a big difference. So this works by making a irreversible covalent bond with enzyme. So the carbonyl, right? The carbonyl does its job, and the alcohol group. So these bind onto the enzyme. So the carbonyl binds with the alcohol group of the enzyme, it's an amino acid, and that's the really important part, right? The carbonyl. And it's backed up by the hydrogen bond it's made by Clavulanic side chain alcohol group. It's backup, and that's basically it. But this is a really important concept, right? These two come together, right? So on their own, they're not as they don't have their own range as much as they do, because on its own this can do nothing. On its own, you can still do great, but it's not the best. Together, they can do anything. Okay, thanks.